Today we're talking about something that gets heated fast, why people oppose affordable housing. And we're not doing it as a morality play. Not good people versus bad people. We're going to look at the structural forces that make opposition feel normal, even rational, to the people doing it.
Yeah, because if we frame it as they're just selfish, we miss what actually drives behavior. And if we miss the drivers, we keep losing the same battles, project after project, at the exact same city meetings.
So let's name the big idea up front. A lot of opposition isn't about someone waking up and deciding to be cruel. It's about status anxiety, misunderstood economics, a scarcity mindset, and zoning rules that act like a gate.
And then there's this weird moral framing that sneaks in. Like, some people see housing security as something you earn and protect, while other people's housing is treated like a nice to have. That's a powerful cultural story.
Let's start with status anxiety, because it's the one people rarely admit out loud. Homeowners worry that new neighbors, especially if they're lower income, will change the social vibe of the street.
Right. It's not always said explicitly, but you hear the coded language. Neighborhood character, fit, community standards. We worked hard to live here. It's basically a fear of social mixing.
And to be clear, people can genuinely feel that fear without having a spreadsheet in their head. It's emotional. It's about identity. If your home is your biggest asset and also your sense of belonging, anything new can feel like a threat.
But here's the awkward part. When you actually look at evidence, real studies, not anecdotes, the scary outcomes people predict often don't show up. This idea that affordable housing automatically harms a neighborhood's well-being is more cultural assumption than fact.
Which takes us to the second driver, misunderstood economics. There's a widespread belief that low-income housing equals decline, like it's a law of nature.
And yet, across Canada and the United States, peer-reviewed research repeatedly finds that property values generally do not drop simply because affordable housing is nearby, especially when a housing is well managed and integrated into the neighborhood.
It's interesting how the conversation goes at public hearings. Someone stands up and says, "My property value will collapse." And that statement lands like a fact because it's tied to fear. But it's often not grounded in data.
And even if you show data, people don't always hear it, because what they're really saying is, "My financial safety net is my house. Don't mess with it." Which brings us straight into scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset is huge. When housing feels rare, people protect what they have. And not just in a practical way, almost in a defensive, territorial way.
Yeah, if you believe there aren't enough homes or that the market is a knife fight, you start treating your own housing position like something that must be defended.
But here's the twist. A lot of the scarcity isn't inevitable. It's created, or at least intensified, by policy choices, especially zoning.
Which leads us to zoning as a shield. In many cities, large areas are reserved almost entirely for single detached homes. And that's not just design preference. It's a system that limits who can live there.
Exactly. Single detached zoning acts like a gatekeeper. If the only legal option on most residential land is a large, expensive house, then affordability is basically illegal.
And for homeowners, these rules can feel like protection. Zoning becomes a way to keep things predictable. Who your neighbors are likely to be, how many people will be nearby, whether there will be renters, whether there will be change.
There's also the psychological comfort of control. Even if you say you support affordable housing in general, it's a different thing when it's proposed on your street, near your kid's school, or beside the park you love.
And the zoning system gives people tools to block it. Minimum lot sizes, parking requirements, restrictions on height, restrictions on multifamily buildings, endless hearings, endless appeals.
So opposing affordable housing doesn't always feel like opposing people. It can feel like defending rules or protecting planning. But those rules produce the same result either way: fewer homes, higher prices, and more exclusion.
Now, let's talk about the most uncomfortable one, moral exceptionalism. The idea that some people's housing is a right and other people's housing is optional.
This is the NIMBY worldview at its strongest. I deserve stability, peace, space, and investment protection. But if someone else needs a home, that's unfortunate, and maybe they should go somewhere else.
It's like there's an invisible hierarchy of who gets to belong, and the neighborhood becomes a kind of private club, except it's enforced through land use rules and social pressure instead of a membership card.
And people don't always say it as bluntly as that. It shows up as, there are other places for this. Or, we're not the right area. Or, why here?
Which is such a revealing question. Why here usually means why near me. It turns a citywide problem into a game of passing responsibility around until it lands on the people with the least power.
So if the problem isn't mainly individual nastiness, what do we do with that? Because acknowledging structural drivers isn't the same as excusing the outcomes.
Totally. It just means the solution has to target the system and the incentives. For example, if zoning is a shield, then you can't rely on one-off affordable projects that need special approvals every time. You need zoning that makes more types of homes legal by default.
If scarcity mindset is fueling panic, we need abundance, consistent home building, not just luxury towers and not just isolated subsidized buildings, but a steady mix, duplexes, townhomes, apartments, supportive housing, co-ops.
And if misunderstood economics is driving fear, we should treat property values will collapse the way we treat other claims in public policy, as something you check, not something you assume.
And if status anxiety is the hidden engine, we have to tell a different story about what makes a neighborhood strong. Not uniformity, not sameness, but stability that comes from people being able to live near their work, their family, their community.
Here's a question I think about. If a neighborhood's character depends on keeping out families who can't afford a detached house, what is that character actually made of?
And another, if we say we care about teachers, nurses, caregivers, service workers, how do we square that with blocking the kinds of homes those workers can actually afford?
Because the contradiction is real. People love the idea of a functioning city, but they oppose a housing that makes a functioning city possible.
So the takeaway today is this. Opposition to affordable housing often follows a pattern. People feel threatened, they reach for economic arguments, they lean on zoning, and they justify it with a moral story about entitlement.
And if we want to change outcomes, we have to address the pattern, not with shame as the main tool, but with better rules, better information, and a clearer understanding that housing isn't a special privilege for the lucky. It's infrastructure for human life.
Next time you hear someone say, "I'm not against affordable housing, just not here," listen for what's underneath. Is it fear of change? Fear of loss? A belief that scarcity is natural? Or a zoning system that lets private comfort override public need?
Because once you can name the structure, you can actually argue with it, and you can build something better than a city where only certain people get to stay.
That's it for today. If this episode made you rethink a phrase you've heard at a public meeting, or a thought you've had yourself, share it with someone who cares about housing. These conversations grow one honest moment at a time.